a test of faith. For as long as it has existed, people have been tested in their faith to prove their beliefs. Sometimes it is as simple as standing up for your beliefs, even when the consequences won't guarantee a good reputation. But there are times when a person's faith will be put against the threat of pain or even death. And that person is forced to make a decision. Do they comply or do they stand firm? Today we'll be looking at 3 such examples of people who've been tested in their faith and the different ways they've handled it. Starting with Daniel chapter 3, verses 4 through 18. Then the herald loudly proclaimed, "Dur, dur, dur. To you the command is given, all ye peoples, nations, and populations of all languages. At the moment you hear the sound of the horn, flute, lyre, trigon, psaltery, bagpipe, and all kinds of music, you are to fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king has made. But whoever does not fall down and worship will be immediately thrown into a furnace of blazing fire." Therefore, as soon as all the peoples heard the sound of the horn, flute, lyre, trigon, psaltery, bagpipe, and all kinds of music, all the peoples fell down and worshipped the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar had made. For this reason, at that time, certain Chaldeans came forward and brought charges against the Jews. They began to speak and said to Nebuchadnezzar the king, "O king, live forever. You, O king, have made a decree that every man who hears the sound of the horn, flute, lyre, trigon, psaltery, bagpipe, and all kinds of music is to fall down and worship the golden image that you have made. But whoever does not fall down and worship shall be immediately thrown into a furnace of blazing fire. There are certain Jews whom you have appointed over the administration of the provinces of Babylon, namely Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have disregarded you. They do not serve your gods or worship the golden image that you have made." Then Nebuchadnezzar, enraged and in anger, gave orders to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And when these men were brought before the king said to them, "Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you do not serve my gods or worship the golden image that I have made? Now if you are ready, and at the moment you hear the sound of the horn, flute, lyre, trigon, psaltery, bagpipe, and all kinds of music, that ye fall down and worship the image that I have made, then very well. But if you do not worship, you will be immediately thrown into a furnace of blazing fire. And what God is there who can deliver you out of my hands?" And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied to the king, "O Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to give you an answer concerning this matter. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us out of the furnace of blazing fire, and he will deliver us out of your hand, O king. Even if he does not, let it be known to you, O king, that we are not going to serve your gods or worship the golden image that you have made." This passage is commonly used as an amazing example of the perseverance of faith through persecution, and a powerful example of God not only not forsaking us, but standing with us through the flames. Though there are many stories in the Bible of people enduring the test of faith and succeeding, there are just as many stories of those who have failed, who have chosen to comply. And we can see that in our next example with the Apostle Peter, Matthew 26, verses 62 and 75. Then the high priest arose and said, "Do you answer nothing? What is it that these men testify against you?" But Jesus kept silent, and the high priest answered him and said, "I put you under oath by the living God. Tell us, are you the Christ, the Son of God?" And Jesus answered and said, "It is as you say. Nevertheless, I say to you, hereafter you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the power and coming on the clouds of heaven." Then the high priest tore his clothes and said, "He has spoken blasphemy. What further need do we have of witnesses? Look now, you have all heard his blasphemy. What do you think?" And they answered him and said, "He is deserving of death." Then they spat in his face and beat him. And others struck him with the palms of their hands, saying, "Prophesy to us, Christ. Who is the one who struck you?" Now Peter sat outside in the courtyard. And a servant girl came up to him and said, "You also were with Jesus of Galilee." But he denied it before them all, saying, "I don't know what you're talking about." And when he had gone out to the gateway, another girl saw him and said to those who were there, "This man also was with Jesus of Nazareth." But again he denied with an oath, I do not know the man." Later, those who stood by came up to him and said, "Surely you must be one of them, for your speech betrays you." Then he began to curse and swear, saying, "I do not know the man." And immediately a rooster crowed. And Peter remembered the words of Jesus, who had said to him, "Before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times." So he went out and wept bitterly. The Apostle Peter was often described, even by Jesus, as one of little faith. But as time went on, as he kept being tested, he eventually stood firm in his faith and became one of the most influential apostles up until the time of his death. Sometimes faith can be so strong, so powerful, that even death itself cannot stop it. And we can see that in our final example, through the tragedy of Scottish martyr Margaret Wilson. Against the Tide by Hope Irvin Marston. His Royal Highness, King Charles, believes that he is the head of our government and of our church. He insists that we, the Scottish, must accept the English way of worship, with him as the head of the church and not God. He will punish and kill anyone who dares to defy or even worship elsewhere. Margaret! What are you still doing in bed? Get up! We're going to be late. You need to change your dress. We've got to leave soon. Dad, I'm not going. Not going. What's wrong with you? Are you sick? No. Dad, our first obedience is to Jesus Christ, not to His Royal Highness. I cannot keep going to a church where all they tell us is mockery and lies. Margaret, these are dangerous days. Do not speak of such things. I refuse to honor a godless king. All I want in my life, for the rest of my life, is to keep the covenant that I made with Jesus, even if that means being a fugitive. Margaret, think of your family. We'll be forbidden to help you in any way. Think of the king. He'll send people after you to hurt you. Do you want that? Spend the rest of your life hiding in a cave, starving to death, just like your brothers? Is your faith strong enough to accept all of that, lass? I pray that it is. Stand to receive your sentence. Margaret Wilson, upon the 11th of May ye shall be tied to a stake where the sea flows at high water, and there you will stand until you are drowned. Very well. I will take the sentence. Of course, all this can be reversed if you recant what you've said against the king and swear your allegiance to him. All this can go away, and you can be free. I cannot do that. I will take the sentence. Will you at least say, God save the king? God save him if he will, is what I've prayed for in the past and what I continue to pray for now. We don't want your little prayers. We want to hear you swear the oath. I cannot. Let me die. I am a child of God. I refuse to honor a godless king. I am ready to sacrifice my life in honor of Jesus. Margaret Wilson was only 18 when she was drowned and martyred, and I often wondered how someone so young, so close to my own age, could simply give up her life in order to defend her faith until her last dying breath. 1 Peter 4, verses 12 and 14 says, "Beloved, do not be surprised at the fiery trial when it comes upon you to test you, as though something strange were happening to you. If you are insulted for the name of Christ, you are blessed, because the Spirit of glory and of God rests upon you." Ultimately, we answer to God and to ourselves. When your faith is tested, will you comply or will you stand?